Hey guys, so sorry this part's a little especially short. I'm so sick I want to die. The emptiness and silence lasted for less than a second, an eerie eye of the storm, before a Goliath blur of blackness exploded out from the kitchen, moving so fast it was immediately apparent we weren't ever going to outrun it. It tore across the carpet faster than my eyes could focus, crushing the staircase railings beneath it as it clawed its way upwards. It was impossible to see what it looked like, moving like an out-of-focus mirage that slithered rather than walked. The only visible features were tangled black fur and an infinitely long row of orca-like teeth that were neither curled in a smile or frown. Haze quickly came to the same realization as me as the door of her room cracked against the inside wall and she threw the projector at me in one fluid motion. Paper, pattern note, fluttering to the floor. Something tells me we can't use this in peace here. She cocked an eyebrow, eyes trying not to look as the creature reached the top step of the second floor. But what say we close the door anyway and just hope that stops it? For shits and giggles. No, there is a place. I shook my head, racking my brain. Somewhere secure enough where we can hold out. I remember that the footage was filmed here, somewhere below ground. The basement. Haze's eyes widened, hand slashing a piece of paper off her wall and reading it. She immediately turned it to me, both our eyes meeting. John just started dropping his gloves in pattern day cycle 2. It read, "When he catches the egg." Why the pattern change? Didn't know what it meant, she affirmed, smile brimming. Looks like even you had the hang of this at one point. Enough to give yourself a little clue of where we go next. Ever see a little floor hatch when you picked up your gloves? Wonder where that leads. We tore back out of the room, making our way to the staircase only to see the hideous creature already halfway up, blocking any path. Saliva spilled to the sullied carpet in droves, ravenous blackness eating at every exposed surface like a disease. Several corpses were jammed in the elevator below. 2 options, Haze nodded. 2 sets of 2, right or left, and projector or film. I froze up, unable to take my eyes off the creature, let alone process her absurd question. Good choice. She snatched the film canister from me, shoving me down the hallway perpendicular to the stairs before backing up herself. I finally wrenched my eyes back between us, heart capsizing as I realized what she was proposing. My legs slowly backed me up further as she did the same, putting more and more distance between us as the creature made its way up the stairs. If it chooses you, you throw the projector to me, Haze nodded, playfully calm. I'll run down the stairs and find your secret room, then I'll have a fun movie night by myself. Wait. I desperately searched for another option. Just wait. Obviously, I'll give you a nice underhand toss, should it choose me. She smiled, before the emotion slipped slightly. Statistically, that would be better. I apparently already tried to finish this. We all know how that went. Wooden shrapnel splintered to the lobby below as the creature nearly reached the top step, blurred head already flicking between the 2 of us. Okay, we're not, I staggered, blood freezing as claws raked against the top step. Wait, Haze, there's another... The creature turned to her. I suppose I earned that. Haze breathed out, before forcing a pained grin. Elle, you can do this, alright? You promised me you would. Oh fuck, I cried. Jesus, wait, no, I can't. We promised we'd do it together. Haze, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Fucking run! She casually tossed the canister underhand, the black shell sailing lightly over the creature before bouncing across the carpet and clacking against my feet. It was fun. Haze's words were plastered over a smile that both begged for help and knew full well it wasn't coming. Her hands dropped to her side, smile twisting further into uncanny territory as she held back tears and the creature started forward. You know, I always knew I was going to hell, she continued, wincing. I deserve it. Deep down, I always knew that this was my punishment, that I deserved to be here, that this nightmare was constructed for me. The hardest part. She choked back tears before finally reinstating a weak smile. Was knowing that I had to share it with people who didn't deserve it. I'm so sorry for everything. Thought I could redeem myself in death, but what good does that do anyone? Right? Wait, no! I cried. Haze, we can... Her silver eyes cut out as her lids squeezed shut and the creature blurred across the length of the hallway in a fraction of a second, moving like something governed by a different set of physics. Its jaws snapped around her waistline with a ghastly rib-shattering squelch before I could blink. Its head thrashed like a shark, tearing her clean in half with a grisly snap that left the hallway to drip with rotten, murky blood. My hand splayed out in shock, her midsection slamming against the wall as her pale legs toppled over the edge and cracked backwards against the next railing down. Bones shattered through skin like wet tissue paper. Her flag pin clattered against the sullied carpet. Severed head stretched out of alignment as her blank eyes rolled against the floor without blinking. The creature's shaggy fur bristled upwards as if underwater, haunches raised as it spun around to face me. Its muzzle dripped with gore, hot breath rank with Haze's flesh between its teeth. My eyes were starched wide with disbelief, legs snapping into a sprint down the stairs. The creature swiveled to instantly tear after me, not a second passing before I could feel its breath already having caught up to me. Wooden splinters dotted my legs as its claws raked mere feet behind me down the staircase. I immediately began unspooling the footage from the canister until the reel clattered into my hand. I hastily fumbled the slack into the teeth of the projector's spindle. As a piece of torn footage spiraled behind me, I hardly even noticed that the pursuing shadow had recoiled backwards, claws raking against the banister as its fur molted like a diseased animal. Its throat screamed with foul air, producing a sound unlike anything I had ever heard. And before I even reached the base of the stairs, I realized I was suddenly alone. The manor dared not even creak or groan, the outside air holding its breath. Dead moonlight slithered through the rafters ahead, leaving splotches of light in the utterly vacant manor. Had I not just seen horrific patrons walking about, I would have thought nothing had set foot in here for many years. Indeed, it looked as if this decrepit place had been abandoned for centuries. I fought against some unknown force just to hold still, looking into every dark corner and shadow-casted hallway for signs of movement. Nothing seemed to live here at all. And the silence continued, It continued even as I slowly took the next step down, hearing the slow death of the wood plank beneath me vibrate through the grandiose lobby. It continued as I reached the base of the stairs and stared at the front doors. They softly shuddered as wind battered them from outside, a slow, rhythmic heartbeat, seemingly felt by the entire manor. It continued as I saw the way to the kitchen lay entirely in darkness, no reflections or light to allow me any warning of what lay inside. It continued as I hesitated at the entrance, continued as I saw the outlet by my feet, and as I shakily put my back to the wall and slid down it to plug in the projector. I realized it hadn't been silent at all. I wasn't sure what sounds had been there, wasn't aware of them at the time, but all I heard was a newfound absence the minute the projector plug contacted the socket, and the manor froze solid in time. The lobby no longer swayed with the wind, the snowflakes no longer drifted from their perches above. Only the projector moved as its little spindles began to rotate with a weak scream. Light flickered just ahead as the projector vomited life onto the floor, playing the footage of the mouse just as I remembered. But it didn't stop there. After the creature was lifted out and the mouse again went limp, the footage became unwatchable for nearly a minute, likely the destroyed portions, but it soon jittered back to life. My eyes reflected the yellow light as I searched every corner, barely even noticing that the manor had begun to move again, barely even noticing the figure at the top of the stairs beginning to make their way down. The footage had advanced only slightly since my last memory, but the room had changed considerably. Many of the floorboards were uprooted, the once pristine lab having seen wear and tear as if a tornado had gone through. Both Thomas and the tall man in the frame looked easily 10 years older from fatigue and sleep deprivation, but it was unclear how much later the footage was truly shot. Their hair was graying and patchy as if they were going through early chemotherapy. The taller man appeared to have his left arm behind his back, before he shuffled to reveal a flap of fabric pinned over his shoulder. The arm was gone. The dog was nearly 10 times as large, and far more distorted. The camera was consistently thrown off focus any time it came into frame, and it appeared as nothing more than a blurred scratch mark on the footage. It was enclosed in a large cage now, a glorified kennel with several large batteries hooked up to metal bars, with a large secondary plexiglass layer inches away. A single small hole exhibited a rubber flap, assumedly where they were able to give it food. And indeed, as the footage skipped, several full-sized rabbits were introduced into the cage. The footage shrieked with static as the camera tried to film the dog, instead coming up with warping blackness in the center of the frame as gore splattered the clear plexiglass. The taller man addressed the camera, now holding a type of clapper with the experiment title and rendition number. This particular one read, "Influenced Defense. Take 4. The camera shuddered, readjusting a black blinder over the lens to block out the dog as it filmed the rabbits on the floor, torn apart, but not eaten. The footage jumped ahead before stuttering back several frames. The blinder was removed, but the dog was kept largely out of frame to avoid its distortive effects on the footage. Instead, the frame focused on a Zippo lighter crudely taped to a metal pole, small flame flickering. The taller man stepped towards the camera as Thomas began slowly pushing the pole into the cage. He gestured to the dog as it flinched back against the far side of its enclosure. Only its white teeth were visible through the distortions. Then, the tall man's hand moved down to showcase the rabbits twisting and writhing on the floor. He continued talking as acidic saliva speckled the glass. The dog barked and bayed, nearly a minute passing before the garbled, broken rabbits began to twitch, blood pooling beneath them. Sluggishly, the camera focused on their legs beginning to spasm rhythmically. As the lighter suddenly brushed against the dog's fur, the film grain peaked with a frightening display of warped footage, before the dead rabbit swarmed like a hive mind, broken, twisted limbs carrying them up the electrified bars. Their beady eyes ruptured with the current, fur singeing black at the ends, but they carried on all the same, rotten blood pilling from their fur as the dog bent back against the cage and the rabbits clambered onto the pole with the lighter. One darted toward the flame to snuff it out with its body, as every other one gnawed at the metal so hard their mashed skulls chipped away. Thomas quickly retracted the pole, the rabbits being knocked off by the rubber entranceway. Except they weren't. Not all of them. The dog's fur bristled and blurred with black as one rabbit clung on, slipping through the opening to the other side. Thomas immediately panicked, dropping the pole as the rabbit charged him before spinning 360 and tearing towards the cage batteries. The taller scientist stopped talking as well, scrambling over and heaving his boot down on the rabbit's head with a devastating crunch. The dog's influence had clearly grown along with its size, however. The rabbit wrenched its way free, leaving its head behind as it used its hind legs to disconnect one of the battery's negative ends. It was at the other battery in seconds, Thomas just barely able to reach it in time and kick it into the far wall. Its bones shattered through its skin, but it didn't falter, brokenly stumbling back towards the other battery before the taller man slammed a plexiglass case over it. Thomas hastily reconnected the first battery, falling to the floor and breathing heavy. He wiped sweat from his brow. The footage flickered. The black mass in the cage, snarling. The projector ground to a halt as some of the footage snared in the spindles. I finally tore my eyes from the little square of light on the floor to finally realize that I was no longer alone. But the figure reaching the last step of the staircase, with eyes boring into my own, the figure holding a gruesome yellow bone shard, organs barely kept in as bite marks split her lengthwise. Despite the way her legs walked as if inverted, bones squelching through skin with the weight. I knew the face. Haze. I slowly stood up. Haze, you're in a pattern.